question is that the question is that the total sum to be allocated for head K of the estimates be reduced by $100. Ms. Denise Phua.
The education system as we know it will lose its currency and relevance if we don't make some important moves. There is enough evidence and inputs to inform us on what the future of education will look like. The front-loading of education, cramping most of learning before one's first job, has to change. Traditional content such as basic literacy, English, math, will need to be updated, adding to them digital literacy, data literacy, financial literacy, and a slew of competencies, attributes, and values needed to survive in this age of unprecedented change. Person-centered, competency-based, mastery-based, self-driven, bite-sized, just-in-time, chasing skills, not paper, classrooms without walls, schools without walls. These are all quoted as the future of education. The entire education ecosystem has enlarged. Members of this House has just seen the National Library Board's latest blueprint that talks about learning marketplaces, learning superstores that serve all Singaporeans. And NLB is not even part of the Ministry of Education. So the future of education is now. Think big, believe big, and act now. Let me propose 5 ways to begin this exciting journey. First, update and cascade the vision of education so that more Singaporeans are aligned in our end in mind, from K to 12, from youth, young to old. I fully resonate with Education Minister Chan Chun Sing's views of what education should be, of continual learning, connecting, collaborations, and confidence building. Minister spoke about having to stop thinking of educating cohorts and the traditional KPI of cohort participation rates and replace it with the concept of lifelong learning participation rate. Makes a lot of sense if we think of how every Singaporean ought to prepare for each of the average 4 to 5 job changes he makes in his working life. Second, address the restraining forces of change, the often unspoken elephants in the room, the glaring and valid concern of educators in the face of an increasingly overloaded curricula, an expectation of the educators to pivot to become content creators, curators, learning designers, and life coaches, and then to teach in a way that they themselves had not quite experienced before. What about the less glaring but stronger restraining force that's unseen below the waterline? The beliefs, the conditioned behaviors and fears of the very people involved in education, our school leaders, educators, parents and employers. Somebody once quipped that education is an inherently conservative social enterprise, and changing education systems is sometimes like trying to move a graveyard. It will be hard for Singapore. We are a victim of our success. We are so used, for example, to use the academic yardstick in parenting, in hiring, and even in judging one another. And 3, show it can be done. Be bold, pick a few strategic pilots and go for broke. For instance, pilot true trained schools without the PSLE, an idea brought up for years. If PSLE, regardless of what the MOE has tried, is still a sacred cow, and if slain can free time and space for change, then let go of it. The risk is not high. Singapore will not be the first in the world to operate true trained primary to secondary schools. 4, start with the educator of educators. Singapore is blessed to have a teaching workforce that's well-regarded, professional, and motivated. Their mothership, the National Institute of Education, will need to be prepared to raise our educators to find their place in this enlarged education ecosystem. NIE will have to rethink its traditional modes of management, collaborate and connect with local and global partners to reframe and to refresh its institution and offerings. And lastly, let's start addressing the challenges of adult learners. Andre Schweiker, OECD Special Advisor, has observed a striking gap between a skills gap between Singapore's younger and older workforce, and he advised the strong need for Singapore to seriously develop our older workers. There are, of course, challenges, not availability of courses only, but likely the motivation to learn or the way by which adult learner is designed and offered. But focus we must seriously on our adult and older learners. If we don't, many of them will become Singapore's future low-wage earners. Sir, the future of education is now. Think big, believe big, and let's act now.